What's up you guys, it's Perseus the Bookworm here, and welcome to my first video of 2022. Today, as you can tell by the title, this is going to be all of the books I have DNF'd, or is what I can remember did not finishing. Some is just because I lost interest, some because it just wasn't catching me at all, others just don't have a reason at all. And I'm not talking about just ones I did not finish last year, I'm talking about ones I did not finish as a whole. I just did not finish. So yeah. Also, I quickly want to say before I get into this video, I now have a Goodreads. It's in the left corner of my YouTube banner, but I'll link it in the description below too. So let's get started. And I've got two piles here, so I'll just go through the top. The first one is Warriors Enter the Clans by Aaron Hunter. This is about the secrets of the clans, and it's basically find out how they make apprentices, how they make them fight, like get them to learn to fight, how to hunt and help their clans out. I'm just reading from behind here because the blurb is such a good thing and all that stuff. I technically started reading this in year 8 I think. So I remember reading it before house group, and we started doing house group full time in 2018. No, not 2018, in year 8. And I did start reading this one first because I think it's one of the first few warrior books I got. I stopped reading it because I think I found other books. I don't have a proper reason, but it's because I think I found other books and I somewhat lost interest after a while. So yeah, so there's that one. I might get back to this. I might get back to all these books eventually, just a matter of when. And also, apparently there's a teaser to Survivors, which I already have. Now this is A Time to Kill by John Gunsham. Now this is about a young person of colour, a young girl of colour, who is forced to do something out of her consent, even though she can't consent because she's a child. If you get what I'm getting at, by white people, and her father unalives the people that were involved in it. I'll put up here. So yeah, and Jake, and also the father's name is Carl Lee Haley, and Jake is his defendant, or like lawyer, to basically try and help Carl not found guilty. I didn't finish this because it was really hard to get into the first few pages, the first few chapters. Maybe the first chapter or two, because it keeps talking about Lucian, I think his name was. Like, it just kept talking about Lucian, and just like I didn't really want to hear about Lucian. I understand that he's a part of the reason why Jake has been hired to. He's part of the reason why he was hired to defend Kyle. But it's just like, can we lower everything about Lucian, mentioning some things here and there, instead of putting it all at once? I will get back to it, but I just don't know when. So next one is, I also watched the movie of A Time to Kill because my mum got me into it. Well, she showed me the movie first, and then she realized it was a book, then gave me the book. And the same one kind of goes for this next one, which is Paper Towns by John Green. I watched this with some of my now ex-friends, and I got the book afterwards, a little while afterwards. Either I asked for it or my mum gave it to me. I kind of forgot the plot of it, but that's because this was many years ago. I think I either stopped reading it because I was in the kind of phase where I was jumping in and out of books quite frequently while still remembering each one. But obviously since when the movie came out, my memory has gone slightly more bad, and now I have to focus on one book at a time. So yeah, I will get back to this one. Like I said, I'll get back to all these, so I should stop saying that. Now the next one is probably going to shock you all, but this is The Hunger Games by Suzanne. If you don't know this by now, who are you? It's about Katniss Everdeen, who volunteers for her sister in the 72nd Hunger Games. I think it's the 72nd? It's either 72nd or 74th. It was 70-something, the 70-something Hunger Games, and it leads to all these other events that happened after the Hunger Games. I I technically started reading Catching Fire and Somewhat Mockingjay as well, which I shouldn't have been doing because like you're supposed to read in order, which is now my philosophy of reading books. Not philosophy, but my kind of rule of thumb of reading books. If reading books are part of multiple series or one big series, read them in order. But I did not finish because I think I was in year 7 when I was reading this and the other two. I think I kind of just stopped. But because I recently got the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I will probably get back into that one. I need to stop saying that. Okay, now this one is the first book of the Mortal Instruments, which is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I watched the movie of this first, I think, and then I got interested in the book. I think I stopped because it was kind of failing to get my attention at first. It was kind of like the Time to Kill. It was like taking a little bit to explain. Either that or it was just moving a little too fast. I don't remember. I don't think it was moving fast. It just at the time my mind was like no. Yep. Now this one, I got into the author because I was at the dentist once and I had a book of his on the table in front of me and my mum. I think he was at the time with me there. It was either that or my nan. Oh, still got a bookmark on it. Didn't notice. It's called The Crucifix Killer by Chris Carter. I think I wanted to get a book of his because I was kind of still figuring out my reading taste at the time. Well, not, I've been into reading like 3 years at that point, but I think I was starting to get into like the crime stuff at that point, and he seemed like the good introduction to crime at the time. I think I stopped because it's just like I lost interest. I'll put that back on my other bookmarks later. The next one is 13 Reasons Why by J. Asher. This follows Hannah Baker, who unalives herself, and she made tapes of the 13 people that caused her to unalive herself. So like Jessica Davis, Clay Jensen, Bryce Walker, I think is one of them, Alex Standall, Zach Dempsey, Justin Foley. I forgot the other ones, but there are a few more. And they all have to listen to their tapes, and then if they want to, listen to the others ones to see who they pass it on to, and it goes like that until it gets to the 13th tape. I started reading it because I think at the time I just lost interest and I wasn't planning to watch the show at the time. I just bought it because it was all hyped up and all that stuff. So yeah, but now that I watched the TV show, I'm definitely gonna read it because I barely remember what happens in the book, and I don't remember what side I got up to. So yeah, my nan was really worried about me getting that book, but apparently a lot of teachers at my school were encouraging people to read it. So now the next one we didn't get a physical copy of this book. The teacher more like printed out a few chapters, and then the teacher's assistant read it out, and we just had to follow it. I was interested enough to get my own copy of it, and again I think I just lost interest in it after a while, which is Skellig by David Almond. This is like a part of I don't know if it's a part of every school curriculum, but it was part of my school's. So yeah, this is about Michael who moves house, but he's feeling like he's the only person, like he's all alone and all that stuff, until he finds this girl named Mina and a person or a creature who has bird wings in either close to his house or in his shed. And then he stops feeling so alone, because literally it says on the back of the creature into the light. Together they can carry the creature into the light, and Michael's world changes forever. I think the one that was at school had a different cover, but I'm not too sure. But then again, we weren't given the physical copies at school, so. Now the next one is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. This is about his name, Ben Mears, who's an author, a moderately successful one, according to the blurb. Goes back to his childhood place, and it's how was it explained here? To exercise the terrors that have haunted him since childhood. Apparently there's vampires in it, but I kind of stopped reading this one. It wasn't because I lost interest. It was quite interesting. It was just more that I had gotten like 5 other books. I brought 5 other books from a favourite bookstore of mine called Dimmicks. It was like the books I got were 2 volumes of Death Note. They both die at the end. One of Us Is Lying, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, and The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. And my mind was so focused on One of Us Is Lying, and my mind just said, quit this one and read that one. So it's not because this book is boring or anything. It is quite interesting. Just that my mind wanted to stop this one and then read One of Us Is Lying. So yeah, I'm definitely going to go back to this one because it was interesting. This one, on the other hand, also by Stephen King, Misery. I did want to read this one. I got it because it was like, I heard it was like one of the best, or like one of the top sellers of his, and one of the earlier books of his that he wrote, like Carrie and all that stuff. But I started reading it. I just found it hard to get into. My mind just wasn't focusing on it. It's just like everything that I was reading was just going over my head. Wasn't remembering anything that had happened previously. I can only probably remember 2 or 3 things that happened in this book, which is once that she's like, spoiler alert, where, what's her name? What's the fan's name? Annie. There we go. Annie. Annie was her name. Annie Wilkins. I can remember that she threw a ball at the wall because she was mad. She made him burn his manuscript because she hated it, and she yelled. Like, she got really upset when she found out one of the characters of Paul Sheldon's main books had died. Which was his choosing. Yeah, that's all I can remember from this book. It was just really hard to get into, at least for me anyway. So, yeah. Don't know if I'm going to be picking up again, but I can try it. I just can't promise anything. This is the last Stephen King one of the one. So this is Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. This is about 4 boys from Derry, Maine, who have went their separate ways and who are friends for a long time, and they go to a hunting trip every year in the snowy Maine woods, and yeah, it's the only chance of survival and stuff. I don't know. My mind can't be bothered reading blurbs at the moment. At the time I was reading this, I'd finished a book prior. I don't remember what the book was. It might have been like After or something, or like Words on Bathroom Walls or Tokyo Ghoul. It was like earlier in the year, early in 2021. How I normally pick up another book is like, of course I would pick up the one that catches my eye the most, but I would also wait a few days, maybe even a few weeks before I pick up another book, just so that my mind can process things. I think my mind kind of just didn't want to pay attention because it hadn't been that long since I finished the book prior to it, which is probably why it just felt off when I was reading it. So it's not the book itself. It's not Stephen King. It's not the book itself. It's just that it was me, technically. It was actually me. The next one is The Host by Stephanie Meyer. I will admit, I kind of just got this book because I did like Twilight, and I did have all the Twilight books, and that's me. So this is about a host that lives through a human body, I believe, by an unseen enemy that takes over the minds of human hosts while leaving their bodies intact. And also, I think I have the movie. Haven't watched it yet. I think I also just wanted to watch the movie because Jake Abel was in it. If you remember, he was in Percy Jackson. I think this one was kind of hard for me to get into. I think all the books are just being one giant pile instead of the 2 piles. I left them anyway. So this one is The Man in the Shadows by Chris Morphy. This is 2 books in one, which is the first 2 books in the Phoenix Files series, which is called Arrival and Contact. I got this book because the cover was really cool. This is about a kid named Luke who touches down in Phoenix, and he knows something is off, and it's supposed to be paradise, but there's malfunctioning phone lines, restriction on car use, and a private security detail instead of police force. And apparently this is about apparently like they have 100 days to do so, to figure something out. Yes, the spine is bent because they kept doing that to it, and it broke. And Luke and his new friends Peter and Jordan are trying to cover the reasons for the town's existence, according to the blurb. I stopped reading this because I paused, I put it on hold, and then went to read a few other books. And then when I tried to go back to this one, I couldn't remember a single thing. So that's what I came to the conclusion that if I'm gonna read a book, I must stick to it until I finish it. It's definitely a good book. I just made the mistake of stopping it and forgetting everything in it. So the next one is Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters by Riordan. Again, like with the Hunger Games, I was in the phase of not really reading stuff in order or reading all of them together. So I was like reading The Lightning Thief, Sea of Monsters, and I think maybe The Titan's Curse at the same time, which again, very bad idea because I wouldn't have no idea what was going on in this one and The Titan's Curse. So yeah, that's why it's now not finished, because now I have to follow the rule of thumb for me to read books in order, which I've also probably should reread Lightning Thief if I want to continue with that one. Now this one I technically got from my mum it was like during book week, and at my school where I got this from, book week is like the years from kindergarten to up to year 7 you can dress up, and then the library they'll have like books for sale and all that stuff. It wasn't like secondhand things, it was like first, like if you bought it, it was the first one, you're the first one that touched it. So I originally got this from my mum, which is A Girl and His Dog Mysteries Play Dead by Jane B. Mason and Sarah Haynes Stevens. This is about a retired police dog named Dodge and Casey, who is described as his girl, and they try to solve the disappearance of the town's richest man, Virgil Ward, and they try to solve it together. She did read a little bit of it, but I think she lost interest in it, and then I decided to read it myself. I didn't finish it. I don't know why, I just didn't finish it. Now the last one is this might seem like a weird cover of it because I don't see this one very often. It was more just one that my stepdad and I found at a bookstore near my nan's called Crow Books. This is Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer. And if you don't know, this is the third book of Twilight, which I did read the first two of in order. And this is about... And also, that at the time of this time, I was like really into writing characters on the first page. I don't know why. This is the third one of the Twilight series. I stopped this because I think I was still in the phase of jumping around with books I read, and for the same reason of Man in the Shadows by Chris Morphy is when I went to go back to start reading this one, I completely forgot what happened beforehand, and I was quite deep into the book. According to the spine, I was around there, sort of around there, which was a shame because I do like Twilight. I do understand some of the weird things behind it, but yeah, so I stopped it because I forgot everything previous when I went back to read it. So those are all the books I had. All the books I've ever did not finish from the time I ever started reading. Yeah, so after filming that video, I realised, while putting all my other books back, that there were 4 more that I forgot to mention because they're also not finished. So I'm going to quickly go through them, so then this video is not too long. Unbroken by Laura Hilbrand. So Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. Agent Without License by Andrew Lane. On Writing, A Memoir of the Craft by Stephen King. And Survivors, Empty City by Aaron Hunter. There we go. So yeah, I hope you liked this video. Once again, I'm going to remind you, I now have a Goodreads, which is a link in my channel art, near my channel art, and I'll place it in the description below. I'll see you all next time. Bye.